we've mentioned the unique place of Indigenous children. We're very lucky that members of the Youth Advisory Committee for Vancouver Aboriginal Child and Family Services Society have agreed to come and tell us about the convention means for them.
Thank you for having us here today. We're honored and privileged to be standing before you at this amazing event. I would also like to acknowledge the traditional Coast Salish territory that we're situated on today and express our gratitude for being guests here. Thank you, Cheyenne, for the grounding and the welcome to this territory as well. VACFAS is one of 23 delegated Aboriginal agencies in BC, and as such, our program represents approximately 290 urban Aboriginal children in care. I believe that the convention has provided the opportunity and platform for us to see that children being raised by an Aboriginal agency is a right and truly in their best interest. It's also provided us with an opportunity to situate our children in their rightful place of family, community, and nation. And, importantly, for VACFAS to engage in a restorative social work practice that promotes these rights. Being a social worker who has had the privilege of working under the convention for most of my career has created the freedom and advocacy to truly honor our children's voices, to advocate for space and audience for these voices, and to ensure that every Indigenous child in our care is raised within Indigenous values and has access to their cultural teachings. As always, I believe the voices of our young people are stronger than my own, and in a day where we are celebrating the rights of our children's voices to be heard, it seems fitting to turn our presentation over to members of our Youth Advisory Committee.
In relation to our lived experience as youth in care, or former youth in care, the convention truly represents us and protects and promotes our rights to use our voices to be raised within our cultures, and ensures that children's care experiences are as protective as possible. From our lens as Indigenous children from care, we wish to highlight the convention articles that have protected us most. Article 12 talks about respecting the views of the child, and says that when adults are making decisions that affect children, children have the right to have their opinions heard and taken into account. We believe that this should also apply to all agencies or bodies that represent children. As former foster children in care, we are aware of the significant role the child welfare system has played in our upbringing. We believe that through these experiences, we have learned invaluable lessons and gained knowledge that others may not have. By sharing these learnings, and advocating for change for other Aboriginal children and youth in care, we know that genuine change can take place, and we can help shape Indigenous social work and the greater system that it's embedded in. Children's voices should be ingrained within policy by having space created for them in which they have the freedom to express themselves and form their own ideas and beliefs. Not having a children's voice incorporated is a non-progressive and colonialistic approach. Article 13 speaks to the freedom of expression and right children have to share and receive information of all kinds pertaining to them. In exercising freedom of expression, children also hold the responsibility to respect others' rights, freedoms, and reputations in a way that isn't damaging to others. For us, understanding why we are in care, our histories, and having the freedom to express ourselves has assisted us in developing our paths as successful adults. Our Youth Advisory Committee, or YAC, is a direct example of Article 12 and 13 in practice. We are supported and encouraged to speak out about what motivates us, issues that make a difference in foster care, and most importantly, children's rights. We share our different views and life experiences in order to help shape best practice in the agency that represents us. In our Aboriginal culture, collective decision-making is a highly valued custom that we are proud to share in partnership with VACFAS.
Author Terry Pratchett said, "In order to know where you are going, you first need to understand where you are from." The right to an identity, nationality, name, and family relation are critical to developing a healthy identity for children and youth. Article 30 of the Convention states that children have the right to profess, practice, and enjoy their own religions, languages, and culture. We have seen Indigenous people stripped of their culture, not only throughout history, but throughout our experiences in care and the child welfare system. We are grateful to be supported by an Aboriginal agency. The Convention created opportunities for these agencies to be developed and acknowledged that we as Indigenous youth have the right to be represented by those from similar cultural backgrounds. We have seen that in previous child welfare practices, children and youth were punished for engaging in ceremonies, speaking their own language, or even having hair that reflected cultural practices. The Convention protects our cultural rights and provides opportunities for us to practice our culture and even celebrate this piece of our identity. When we introduce ourselves, we are proud to do so by situating ourselves in our communities and extended family. We are grateful for this right. Keeping roots in our Aboriginal culture is a protective factor for children and youth in foster care. For a lot of us, having that connection to our culture gave us a strong feeling of familiarity. It meant safety and security in a flawed system that often felt confusing and isolating. As Aboriginal youth, we have a huge opportunity for growth and a responsibility to change the way our people are viewed. Devastation, loss, and pain are woven into our DNA, but so are strength and resilience. A quote by Christianopoulos: "They tried to bury us, but they didn't know we were seeds." We do not deserve to live with the ripple effect of the pain felt by our ancestors, so we are here today to use our voices and exercise our right to be heard.
It is important to remember that all children in care have the right to live with their biological parents. Article 19 says, "Children have the right to live with their parents or have contact with their parents unless it is unsafe to do so." Living in foster care can be daunting, especially when moving from home to home. Ensuring that children have this right means placing priority on the relationships that they have with their biological parents. Having this article shows the value of the contact with the parent if they have a healthy relationship. In the case that this would be detrimental to the child, another important right to remember and take into consideration is Article 25.
Children who are looked after by their local authorities rather than their parents have the right to have these living arrangements looked at regularly to see if they are the most appropriate. Their care and treatment should always be based on the best interest of the child. This article is imperative because it emphasizes the need to continue to focus on what is best for the child. Checking up on the living arrangements consistently ensures that the child is safe and properly cared for. We can achieve this by going over a child's plan of care on a regular basis and knowing that their plan of care accurately reflects how they are. Article 21 states children have the right to care and protection if they are adopted or in foster care. The first concern must be what is best for them. The same rules should apply whether they are adopted in the country where they were born or if they are taken to live in another country.
Children in foster care need what is best for them and to be properly cared for and protected. Protection includes relationship-based social work, because the social workers have a big impact on children's lives. This can also help in times when a child doesn't understand how to use their voice. The last essential piece to remember is culture. Article 20 says, "Children who cannot be looked after by their own family have the right to special care and must be looked after properly by people who respect their ethnic group, religion, culture, and language." This is crucial because children in care have the right to be looked after properly, which includes food, shelter, water, or services if needed. It is important to remember to respect our culture and languages in order to let the children embrace who they are. Finding identity helps eliminate the feeling of loneliness and empowers children to embrace who they are. Every child has a different culture and giving the child the ability to learn and grow in their own culture is absolutely necessary. The convention highlights best practice in taking care of children and honoring their lives as sacred. For us, we know that using our voices, having a sense of belonging with the agency that represents us, having our culture celebrated, and being protected by these rights while in care has impacted us greatly. For many Aboriginal children and youth, being removed from their families and communities is a traumatic experience. Having an overarching connection that protects their path through care, that promotes the continued connection to family and enshrines their right to be situated in the context of their culture creates opportunities for healing to happen. Renowned Indian chief Sitting Bull once said, "Let us put our minds together and see what life we can make for our children." By using our voices and working together with leaders that are protecting and promoting our rights, we have found paths to greater leadership and self-identity. We value the convention for setting this overarching path for us and wish this for every child and youth. By keeping the convention active and enforcing its implementation in our communities, we are confident that the work of the past 25 years can only be strengthened and furthered. We are grateful for your time today and for being a part of the celebration. Thank you.